Greetings and good tidings, you good people. Welcome to Stone by Stone, an Edgewater Castle podcast, where we peel back the layers of the beautiful game like the 32-paneled onion that it is. Join me, Andrew Swanson, your host, as we engage in some insightful conversations with some very remarkable individuals. These brave souls will share their unique perspectives on the world and its game, their personal narratives, and how football has woven itself into the fabric of their lives like the thread in a highly personalized quilt. A heartfelt thank you to our production sponsors, Tightrope Recording, for their masterful sound engineering, and to our dedicated listeners. Your continued support means the absolute world to us, so thank you for it. Now, hear ye, gather round the hearth, pour something literally or figuratively warm into your cups, and welcome to Stone by Stone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Stone by Stone, an Edgewater Castle podcast. I'm Andrew Swanson, host for this night's episode, and joining me this evening are Bardia Kimiavi and Gabriel Masalu, dear friends of mine. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here.
Oh yeah,
thank you for having us.
Really appreciate it. Absolutely. So this is a new thing for the club. You've both been with the club for a while now.
Yeah.
We're going to get into a little bit about your history with the club and how you got involved, how you heard about it, how cool I am to work with, things like that. But we're also going to delve a little more into like your backstories and your history and sort of how you found the game, where in the world that was, how you got to the U.S., how you ended up in Chicago. So a really wide-ranging amount of topics for today. But first of all, I'd like to say thank you both for great work this past season. Thank you for being such great stewards of the club on and off the field. And thank you for committing your Wednesday evening on an undisclosed date to the podcast tonight. Really appreciate it. So cheers to you both. I know you're not drinking this non-disclosed beverage, but cheers to both. That's good, and I wish I could tell you what it was, but I can't.
Not yet.
Not yet. They call me back. So to start off, I'm going to do sort of a little bit of back and forth, and we'll sort of go one by one.
Yeah.
So Gabriel, starting with you, where were you when you sort of first found out about Edgewater, and when was that?
Actually, when I found out about Edgewater is James Kitia, who's your co-founder. I've known him for too long, my fellow Tanzanian. So he's the one who actually gave me a call. He was like, hey, we have this club we started. Why don't you join us? So I actually got off high school, 2016, I graduated in high school. So then I joined 2017. So that's how I found out about the club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You were, if I'm not mistaken, one of our first players.
Yeah. I was one of the first players to join the club. So yeah, it's been a long journey.
Yeah.
Been a long time coming.
It has, been a long time coming to this day on the podcast here.
Yeah.
Who would have thought back in 2017
to 2024 now?
Yeah.
2025, let's say.
Yeah, 7 and a half, 8 years.
7.5 years, yeah.
It's a long time.
Long time.
We're getting old, man.
Old.
Bardia, what about you? How did you sort of first hear about the club and get involved?
Yeah, so for me, after graduating from Northwestern, I decided to stay within the Chicago area, working for a nonprofit sports facility on the west side of Chicago called Intentional Sports. And our owner there, Andy, is very connected in the Chicago soccer community. And I was pleasantly surprised to find out that there are a lot of very competitive teams and players that want to continue playing at a high level here in Chicago. And so I actually ended up looking up the team on Instagram after he had, put me in contact with them and filled out a trial form there. Mm-hmm. And that's where Sammy had reached out, invited me out to training one day, and then the rest is history from there. I think that was about 2 years ago.
Yeah. Before the 23
before 23
season.
A year and a half.
Yeah. And that was sort of a big. I mean, this happens every year, it seems like, but that was a big transition year for us in terms of the kind of quality of coaching and the quality of some of the players, and the way the club kind of grew that year really made a lot of the stuff that's happened since possible, with, I think that was the same year that Q came around. So there's a few people that have become really instrumental to the club from that season. So you attended Northwestern. You went there as a soccer player, correct? So
And student.
and student,
student.
of course. Lest
Don't
we
let 'em
forget.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. You make pretty good grades.
absolutely. I think I
Yeah.
could have gotten in without soccer.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
Listen
they-
to this guy. And yet, you got quite a lot of minutes for the Cats, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
You did,
Yeah.
right? So what was your sort of favorite moment from being at Northwestern as a player or a student, I guess?
It's a great question. It's a special place for sure. There are a few places where you can get that level of education and high level athletics. And I think for me, being raised in the DMV area, Maryland was always one of those programs that was on a national prominence. Just coming off a national championship, going into my sophomore year. So we went to Maryland 2019. And we had the little Persian hype squad, all my friends and family over there supporting us in a sea of purple. And I scored like 5 minutes into the game. We ended up beating them 3-1.
Wow.
So that was probably, my favorite moment on the field as a Wildcat for sure.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good one, yeah. I imagine, I don't know this myself, but I imagine having like your closest family and friends there for a game
yeah.
means a lot. It must,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And Gabriel, you are a local boy.
Oh yeah,
You've been in Rogers Park, Edgewater.
forever since
Yeah.
pretty much since I came to America. I came to America in 2014.
Okay.
I've been living in Rogers Park since I came in. So I'm a local. I know
Yeah.
every corner of Rogers Park, Edgewater, pretty much the whole Chicago, I'd say. So I'm super familiar with the alien. Yeah.
Yeah. And when I first met you, like you said, you had graduated from high school and you went to
Yeah.
Sullivan High School.
Yeah, I went to Sullivan High School.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I played soccer there. I was after high school. I was all state, all conference. I was selected to go to the All-Star game, which I actually got some offers to go to play to college. I said Robert Morris, Roosevelt, NIU too. Those I think the top schools I remember. I got a bunch of offers because the All-Star game where best students in the city and in the state, they meet and they play for the showcase of the coaches.
Sure.
But playing in college was not really. I was not really looking forward to it. So
Sure.
I was never really interested in playing college.
Yeah.
So that's why I never really pursued more than that.
But you did have a very successful high school
Oh yeah.
career. Like I remember hearing about, when I was sort of
Yeah.
first coming up with the idea for Edgewater Castle, I remember hearing about the Sullivan high school team.
Yeah.
And you had that coach that was really intense.
Yeah, he was super intense. Actually, I say he's one of the best coaches I ever had because the training he put us through before the season, it was intense.
Yeah.
Even in the season, the training, it was intense. So that's actually my first time I actually got to experience organized soccer compared to like Africa where I came from. It was just playing pickups, not really training, not organized. So that was actually my first organized soccer I got to play. So it was a great experience. So
Yeah. Got to win a couple trophies with your first team. That's nice.
yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. I think we won about 2 trophies if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And we went to like regional finals 3 years in a row. And yeah, it was amazing, great experience.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that's the only thing I miss about high school.
Yeah.
Nothing else, to be honest.
Yeah, that makes
Nothing
sense.
else. Yeah.
That makes sense. I want to get back to your time before Sullivan and
Yeah.
Rogers Park in the U.S. in a little bit. But before that, I want to talk about your high school experience. So you grew up in the sort of D.C. area, right? What was high school soccer like there in your environment where you were?
It was very competitive. I like to say the best athletes are bred in the DMV area. You got countless examples from that on the professional level, but
Yeah, we'll put that in the notes later. Yeah.
I think it's changed a lot now. The youth soccer game is so convoluted with all these different leagues and competitions. And back when I was in high school, it was either you're playing U.S. club soccer or for your academy team. And so I was fortunate enough to play in an area where there were a lot of great club teams, and the academies were a bit far away from me. So I played for Loudoun Soccer Club, and my first year there, we won the national championship, regionals, states. So pretty much any competition you can imagine that we competed in, we ended up winning that year, which certainly made, looking at schools a little easier in terms of taking the game to the next level. But luckily, since I didn't play academy, I was able to play for my high school as well. And so disappointing finish, losing in the state quarterfinals my senior year. But there's nothing like, putting on your school colors and, playing in front of your friends and family like that. So I love the experience.
Totally. And you're over it now anyway, obviously. Like, you don't think about it anyway.
For the most part. I still rep South Lakes here. It's got my high school on there, yeah. Go Seahawks.
Very good. Go Seahawks. Well, that's where my allegiance is now in the DMV high school soccer
there you
area. Go. Awesome. So when did you you were born in Tehran. When did you move to the U.S.?
So I moved with my family when I was very young, like a year and a half old.
Gotcha.
Moved straight to the Northern Virginia area to follow the American dream, as they say. My dad had studied here on his own. He came when he was much younger to escape the Iranian Revolution back in 1978. Finished his education here, stayed on a student visa to the point where he got his PhD so he could stay in the country, and then went back to Iran. Met my mom.
Takes a long time to get a PhD. That's good thinking on his part,
Absolutely. And so, I guess he felt there was better opportunity for, him and his family back here in the States. And so we made the move when I was about a year and a half old, and started playing soccer pretty much ever since.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you're the vast majority of your all of your life you remember, right, is as an American kid
for sure
outside of DC, the most American city on earth.
Right.
Yeah. So what is your what kind of a relationship do you have you have family back in Iran still, right? Like how connected do you sort of feel to them and to that culture still, having been here your whole life,
For sure. It's an interesting balance, because obviously the majority of my friends were American. There is a great Iranian American population in the DMV area, so I had a lot of family friends as well, which helped me stay, connected to my roots and my culture. But aside from my immediate family, everybody else is, still back in Iran to this day. So I still communicate with them, just about daily through our, WhatsApp group chats and stuff. But it was difficult for me growing up because I wasn't really able to go back there and see my family. I think the last time I was able to go back to Iran when I was 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
And then even when I was, speaking with some of the youth national team coaches at, 14, 15, 16 years old, the relationship between the two countries wasn't great. So my parents didn't really want to take that risk sending me over there. And, since I've turned 18 now, there's some military responsibility that needs to be, undergone over there. So, for the time being, I'm, staying put over here.
Understandable.
As a dual citizen. But, for me, the culture is a huge part of my life. Even growing up in America, I very much grew up in an Iranian household. And so I try as much as possible to stay connected to those roots. So.
Awesome. Man, y'all are good at this. Gabriel, back to you, my friend. So you moved to Rogers Park to go to Sullivan High School in 2016.
Yeah.
Tell me let's go back to the beginning, right? So you're born where?
Born in Tanzania, more specifically, Mwanza, Tanzania.
Tanzania.
Because if I say Tanzania, it's so many cities, we call it. I say states. In America, call it states. Yeah, so I was born in Mwanza, Tanzania.
Cool. Yeah. And what year were you born?
1996.
96.
96,
That's a good year. So what are your sort of like childhood memories like growing up in Tanzania from as far back as you can remember, basically? Like, what was your...
To be honest, I just remember being bad. That's what I remember. Just me and friends playing soccer, being bad boys, stealing mangoes, just fooling all day. So I think that's pretty much I remember. But probably great memories just called being young. So because I moved here when I was 16.
Yeah.
So I moved here. I say not so young to know what was going on, but I was still young at the age of 16.
Yeah,
so
of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you were a teenager, what was your sort of daily routine? Like, you played soccer, obviously.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much the only thing I used to do. Me and friends, we used to play soccer almost every day because that's pretty much the only sport which is accessible anywhere, and you could play anywhere, any ground. Just get a soccer ball, couple friends, and just play on. So I think I started playing when I was so young. I just remember my uncle taking me, because my uncle is a soccer player. So he used to take me when I was young, and I go play soccer with him. So that's how I started playing soccer. I don't remember what age, but I remember he's the person who introduced me to soccer. So I know I was super young. I've been, even when I speak to him, he don't remember it. He just remember when I was young. He don't
Yeah.
remember what age I was, but
Right,
he
right.
remember taking me and him to the soccer field, play soccer. So
Yeah.
yeah, since playing young, like I started playing when I was young, but never played organized soccer.
Right.
It's so different once you play like organized soccer and just pick up game. Like there's so much difference, like techniques. It's so much to learn. So yeah.
Yeah. And the game, I mean, it sounds like, for both of y'all, it's there's a theme here. It seems like the game sort of provides you with so many opportunities to meet people and have connections with people as you change your surroundings and your environment, right? And I know that, Bardia, you grew up sort of very much within the kind of like elite soccer system in the US, right? So you saw it from the moment you were a kid involved in it all the way through now as a coach, right? So you've been heavily immersed in it your whole life. But you also have like a very kind of unique cultural identity that I think, just sheds a different light on American culture and the way America specifically treats the game of soccer, right? And I think for you specifically also, like
Yeah.
having not played organized soccer until you got to the US,
Yeah.
but you sort of can see, I'm assuming, the the ways in which the opportunity here in the game is taken advantage of and not.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I think that
Huge
what I'm
difference.
this is a bit of a leading question. I don't know if you can tell, but what I'm sort of getting at is that, I'm curious to hear what y'all's thoughts are on kind of like the state of the game in the US right now. Cause I know, you know, I've obviously become very obsessed with this over the years. So I follow soccer all over the world in different countries and watch different leagues and so on. And, that's not necessarily the point of this question, but basically like what do you sort of see in the game here that is, give me one positive and one negative in comparison to your experiences elsewhere, what you know about the game elsewhere. Why don't you start with that one, Gabe?
I think overall, I say the U.S. soccer is starting to gain more awareness, especially Messi coming to play in the MLS too. I think that has contributed to people, start watching more American soccer. So I think it's getting more awareness. I'd say compared to like the years back, like I said, 2016. I remember it was not, people knew about American soccer, but not as much
Yeah.
as they know about it now. Like they were following American soccer, but not as how much they're doing now. So
If this is a good indicator, sorry to interrupt, but a
Yeah.
year later, Bastian Schweinsteiger was interviewed by a journalist who asked him if he thought that the Chicago Fire would be able to win the World Cup now that he was playing on the team. And he was confused and thought he didn't understand what they were asking. And they asked again. They were like, yeah, do you think the Chicago
Yeah.
Fire will win the World Cup? And he was like, I don't even know how to answer this question. Where am I? So yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. It has grown.
yeah,
in notoriety.
it has evolved a lot, and as you can see, some players, Premier League, from there they come here, like Zlatan, I say, Sheldon Shaqiri, who was here playing for the Chicago Fire. Now Messi, just to mention a few. They've increased their awareness of soccer in America because those they are like what I say figures in the soccer. So
Yeah.
once you example Messi,
Yeah.
everybody knows Messi in the world. So that really helped a lot, like with just awareness of soccer in America.
Definitely. What's one thing that you notice that sort of pisses you off or you don't like about soccer in the U.S.?
I think I say the US, they try to make their own rules compared to like the actual soccer rules. So they say they try to just implement their own rules as So I don't like that. We should just have rules like you go in Europe, you come to America, you go in Africa, it's the same
Yeah.
soccer rules. But
Yeah,
I think that's the only thing that pisses me off. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
American individualism.
Yeah,
It's a pretty
America,
tough thing
yeah,
to
so-
swallow when
yeah.
you're in global competition. Yeah. What about you, Bardia? What are your sort of like pro and con?
I would say one of the pros that I've noticed, in this country, is just the diversity of backgrounds that you'll find on the field. From my youth days to playing in Northwestern to even now, at Edgewater, you see players from all different countries, all different cultures, all different backgrounds, and I feel like that really enhances your life view as well. That's when it becomes bigger than the game, where you can learn about where other people come from, what their perspectives are, how they differ from yours, and how to embrace that. I feel like that makes you not only brings you closer together as teammates, but I think it just enhances your appreciation for your community as well. But then on the negative side, I think particularly in youth sports these days, it's almost like it's becoming more and more of a pay to play model.
Yeah.
And that creates a huge barrier to entry for a lot of these kids that are coming from different backgrounds, but may not be able to pay your 3,000 or 3,500 that it might cost to play for their top youth soccer club in the area.
Yeah.
And so I think that for a game that like soccer that's supposed to be as accessible as possible, all you need is a ball and maybe two objects to put as a goal. But nowadays, with all the travel and the money involved in it, it's difficult for every kid to get that true opportunity to take their game to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I talk about this all the time with people, because obviously we're subject to the environment we're in, right? And that like we can't flip a switch and have pro rel and make sure that kids are always play for free from now on. That's just not going to happen because we've been building the system we're in for the last 40 years, and it's people are making a lot of money on it, frankly. Sure. So it's not going to change anytime soon. But I do think it's important to like be really deliberate about reflecting on what those things are that make us different and what those things are that sort of feel a little less equitable and fair. Because that's always going to be true. There's always going to be kids that can't afford that who probably should get the opportunity anyway. And yeah, that's like, frankly, one of the reasons that we started Edgewater Castle. And one of the first reasons that James and I did it was the recognition that like, we are very lucky to live in a place that is so globally diverse and has people from so many backgrounds. And just because of that alone, there's going to be a lot of disparity in income and wealth. And like some kids are just not going to grow up in houses that have it. But it also means that like the likelihood that you've got like really intense soccer culture families in your community already, the odds of that are very, very high, which means the odds of finding kids that really want to play and want to learn and want to be at training and so on is higher too. And so the odds of finding really talented kids that can end up on our first team is higher, right?
Yeah.
So for us, it's like always been very worth it to avoid the pay-to-play model because we want to be able to make sure that those kids do have that chance. Anyway, I'm going to move. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we're the best. I'm going to move on a little bit to more like immediate last season stuff, right? So the club is changing a ton and has been going through a lot. We had sort of an okay season, right? We had some good moments. We had some
Okay is generous.
Okay is generous. We didn't have the best season ever. But what were some like, despite that, what were some like good moments? Like a good moment that you remember from this last year that you want to share with our lovely audience tonight?
Oh, I said a comeback against the Green Bay. I think for me that really probably was the best game.
Yeah.
Because we actually, you was not there?
I wasn't there.
Oh man, you guys missed out. You was not there too, right?
I know I couldn't.
Oh, man.
You guys missed out. First of all, we didn't have enough players.
Yes.
So we had to get players from the second team, the U23.
Yep.
And even getting players from the U23, we still didn't have enough substitution. We had about 3 substitution, including me, who I was actually injured, right? So we were down 2 going to the second half, but we came back 2 and 3 too. So that I think was a crazy game, and we had about I think 1-2 injuries. So we literally at the end of the game we had no substitution, but that came to show that how much of a team Edgewater we have. That we have good second team, I say U23, who can come in the first team and give us the same quality as the first team players. So that was also something to notice on that game. So it was a great game.
My only memory of that, I was setting up the fire pitch for a women's home game
Yeah.
at the time. So I couldn't be there because I was setting up a home game.
Yeah.
And Tom, we were following along and we were just like so pissed off. We were like, I bet the guys were so angry. Like in Green Bay, just losing, having a miserable time.
Yeah.
And then we're like carrying stuff across the field or something. And he just drops everything and looks at his phone. He's like, we won. I was like, what do you mean? He was like,
yeah.
we won.
It was,
We won 3-2. I was like, how? And he's like, I
It
know.
was,
I had the same reaction.
Yeah.
Because I checked the score and I saw 2-0. I was like, I wish I
Yeah.
could be there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like all these thoughts running through your head, and then I get a call from Roberto afterwards saying they won, and I just remember the adrenaline going
awesome.
through my
That's
veins.
a good
And
answer.
it was like a last minute goal too, so that was even intense.
Who scored the last minute?
Enzo PK.
Of course.
Rocha gave us a PK on the box. Enzo brought it home.
Nice in the
So it
veins.
was
Beautiful. Beautiful.
yeah.
What about you? What's yours?
I would say my favorite moment from this past season was obviously the results on the field didn't go the way that I thought they would personally, or we did collectively.
Yeah.
But I think we saw a lot of perseverance within our group. Given that a lot of the time we were short on players due to extenuating circumstances, and similar to the story Masalu told, the ability that our group has to overcome that adversity and really exceed expectations is something that is in a lot of our players from their previous backgrounds as well, and the talent and the will that we have on our roster is certainly there, which I think is part of what made this past season so disappointing. But I think there's a lot of resolve and resiliency in that group, and I'm excited to see how we take those feelings and put them into this future season.
Yeah, I love that answer because I agree. I think there's this old saying, which I don't even know if it's old or where it comes from, but I'm gonna misquote it anyway, probably. That you either win or you learn, right? You win or you learn, and you can learn a whole lot more by losing than you can by winning. And I think, like, not to say we just lost all season, but we had a lot of really like tough losses this year, and I think that each one of them did kind of like teach us something else, And I think this feels like the first off season for me, at least, where we've gone into it kind of knowing exactly what can be shifted and what we can change to just get a little bit closer to where we need to be to guarantee those things go our way, right? But yeah, I think the group did show an enormous amount of resiliency, and I think like the identity of the club being, again, people from all backgrounds and all kinds of experiences. Like, usually people have had to go through a lot, or their families have had to go through a lot to be here, right? Odds are. And yeah, that transfers over. So we got a tough group of players. Okay, I'm going to shift slightly to some prepared questions that I'm basically going to ask each of you.
Okay.
And I need you to not spend too much time thinking about it. We're just going to go back and forth.
Back and forth. Okay.
Gotcha.
So, one player you would go back in time to watch live from the nosebleeds at the stadium.
Maradona.
Ronaldo.
Which one?
Christian, of course.
Okay. That's not what I thought you were saying. Anyway, okay. One player you would choose to avoid going back in time to play on the field. Like, if you get one that you will never have to play if you go in a time machine that you don't want to play against.
Cannavaro.
Great answer.
Are we talking about just professional players
Or anyone, like anyone from your past that you're like, I never want to play against them.
Definitely Q.
Definitely
Definitely Q.
A lot of business decisions in practice.
definitely.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Yeah.
Definitely. You've seen how Q play, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just for those of you who don't know yet, he'll be on the pod eventually, but Q is Quentin Benedetto, who's one of our center backs. Got a heavy...
200 some pounds.
He hits hard.
6
Yeah,
feet.
you know,
You'll feel it. You'll feel it
feel
the
it next day after. Great
Yeah.
answer. Okay. Not what I was anticipating.
Oh,
Good.
yeah, definitely
Good.
not.
Cannavaro, though. Love that. One coach or mentor you would go back in time to ask for advice.
Oh, I have a lot. But I say my high school coach, Miguel Baburi.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
Nice.
All the coaches I had were great. Like Wojcik was great. Andres great. But my high school coach stands out.
Yeah.
David too is actually great.
True. Yeah. No,
David's actually great. Yeah.
I definitely share that sentiment. I've had a lot of, great mentors and coaches who helped me get to where I am today. I would say if there was one at the professional level that I could go back to meet, it would definitely be Arsene Wenger.
Yeah.
Go Gunners.
Oh yeah. It's obviously, there's gonna be some bias in some of these answers, of course. But I mean, yeah, I would, if I had the opportunity to go and like have a list of questions for someone, he's pretty high on the list. I want to ask those questions too. A list of questions as long as his puffy coat. Okay. One city you would move to just to watch soccer.
Barcelona. 100%.
Madrid.
Wow. Okay.
That was targeted.
Yeah.
That's it. Well,
No, that's a great. I like that question because like there are some answers that are obvious to like there will be the most soccer to watch, right? Like you said, London. It's like, well, yeah, there's all those teams in London. But I would probably also say Barcelona, and I understand Madrid fans would probably say Madrid. It's like,
it's crazy. I'm not even a fan. I just like most of the players in the Madrid.
Yeah.
So
Well, you got.
But in terms of style of play, it doesn't get better than how they do it over there.
Anywho, biggest soccer challenge in your life so far?
It's a great question.
personally, I say injuries, man.
Yeah.
They've taken a toll of me.
Yeah.
Jeez, to a point where I'm like, you know what? I don't think if I want to play anymore. So you've seen yourself like, man, sometimes you come out, you give it your all, but just injuries hold you back. I remember one season, I think about 3 or 4 years ago, I only played about 2 games. I was injured the whole season. So I think injuries have taken a toll on me to a point I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. But there's nothing else to do. What am I supposed to do? So there's nothing else to do. So I get injured. Yeah, I come back. So I think it's taking a toll on me.
Makes sense. What about you?
Yeah. I would say for me, it's just decision making in terms of the path to take. Soccer is such a global game that there's always some other place to play with another team or another coach, and starting from the youth level and then deciding whether or not to drop out of high school and go overseas or not, and then turning 18 and having to decide which school to go to even after school deciding whether or not to leave my life and go play somewhere else. So it's there's always been a constant back and forth weighing the opportunity cost of making one decision versus another. So trying not to get too caught up in that and really just going where I feel is best for myself. So.
Absolutely. That's a great answer too. I think like so much of anything, education or career or whatever is just a series of decisions you have to make, right? And I think that it's so difficult to go through an entire life so far and sort of feel like, yeah, I crushed every single one of those, like I'm sure there were some that I kind of biffed somewhere along the line.
For sure.
And yeah, it is that sort of fine line of like, you don't want to live in like regret by any means. And you want to basically just respect whatever decision you made and be grateful for where you are. And that's sort of like the best way to be, is that you're not going to always make the right calls, especially in the past when you're younger and dumber and don't know things as much. But yeah, that's a great answer. I think I've got one more of these, and we're going to take a very brief break. Favorite childhood soccer memory?
Definitely 2016, winning the national championship with my team. I was able to bring home the golden ball as well. So that's still sitting over my childhood bed. Looks like a little Ballon d'Or over there.
That's a pretty good one, Bardia. I admit.
I can say I don't really have a favorite childhood memory, but I'd say beating Adria for the first time after what, 7 seasons?
Yeah, 6 seasons.
So yeah, for Those who don't
That's
know.
that's your
That's
favorite soccer
that's
memory.
that's
Yeah.
like so far. That's my favorite set of memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably me
You were
too.
happy that day. I
I
remember.
I was.
That grin
Cause
was ear to ear.
Yeah.
yeah,
For
'cause
context, for
I
our
waited for that for a
listeners,
long time.
Our listeners
Yeah.
should know that our first ever friendly match as a club was against our WV Adria, which is a historic Croatian American club here in Chicago. They've like won the national championship many times, very well renowned. In our first friendly ever, they beat us 12-0.
First game ever, actually.
Yeah,
Not
first
even
game
fair,
we ever
yeah.
played. It was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
It was really miserable.
They actually stopped scoring because
Yeah,
they're like
eventually they were
yeah,
like,
they're
"This
like
isn't really fun."
yeah, it's not fun anymore. We don't want to do this anymore. So they just started playing as practice.
Yeah.
I was so pissed.
Yeah, we did not have a good time. But
Yeah.
years went by, and we worked harder and harder and harder every year.
Every
and then
year.
eventually we beat them in the semifinal of the state cup, which was genuinely like me and Tom both cried. I think it was just so great.
Yeah.
I remember because I think
And-
that was my first time playing against them as part of the club.
yeah.
And it was you and a bunch of the other guys telling me like, "Hey, this one means a little more."
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and it's not an easy team. Actually, people might think, oh, it's just another team. No, Adria is not.
No.
It's not a team to mess around with. They got it like that. They're pretty good.
Yep.
They're pretty good.
So this is the last of our rapid fire questions. What is a piece of advice you have for someone that wants to learn more about the game?
I think I say being disciplined, because I'm saying that from experience. Because that's one thing I lack.
Yeah.
Not just being disciplined to soccer, right? Like
Yeah.
having those following. I don't know how to put this. And I'm saying this. I say this to the players who they want to take it further, like being disciplined, taking care of your body. Is like somebody said. One of my coaches said, "What matters is what people don't see. What you do when people don't see." Right. So like just practicing on your own. Like you mentioned, having yoga. So just taking care of your body. I don't know how to put this, but
It's a great point.
yeah,
you
no.
need that
just,
discipline.
yeah,
to take it to the
just
next-
just being disciplined, right? Being disciplined, following the
Like good example, like following good habits.
good
Things like
habits.
that.
I give an example of toying. I mean,
Toy.
toy.
Yeah. Toy.
Well disciplined.
Yes.
I always say if everybody had a work ethic like that kid,
Yeah.
it's not a kid, but that
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
man,
Yeah. It's true. It's true. He works his.
he works hard.
Yeah.
He works. I've never seen anybody works harder than him. Never. So I think if people really had discipline like him, I think recruiters would have had time to like choose who to like to give contracts to.
for
Yeah.
sure.
So
Totally. That's great.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's huge in terms of taking your game to the next level. In terms of, learning more about the game, it's all about just immersing yourself into it. Especially in a city like this, it's such a soccer city. There's so many passionate fans, and really you're going to find that in a majority of places, considering it's the most popular sport in the world. And so continuing to watch as much as you can, speak as much as you can about it with people around you, because it's not like other sports where it's things are calculated and you have a play call for everything. It's such a fluid and instinctual game that everybody's perception of it is different. Like 4 different people could watch the same play and all take something else out of it. And so I think just being able to immerse yourself really in that world, which I like to think that I've done for almost 25 years now, is the best way to just continue learning and developing that appreciation for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Great answer. Well, with that, we're going to take a brief break, and then we're going to come back for a very short last chapter of the pod. Thanks to our listeners. Thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
We will be right back after a word from our sponsors, I hope.
Cool.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much to our sponsors for that amazing ad read. We can't wait to buy that stuff. We just can't wait. As soon as I get out of here, I'm going to go find that product.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, it might be
Right behind you.
It might be this exact kind of beer, but I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Never know.
We'll never know. Unless. Okay. So, getting back into it, I've got a few sort of last questions, and then I have sort of a prompt for you to address our audience. First of the last questions is similar to one I've asked before, but specifically as like a fan of the game or as someone watching the game, what's like a memory or a couple memories you have that just made your like hair stand up on your arms and made you like incredibly excited, scream at the top of your lungs at how cool the thing you just watched was watching a game of soccer?
I would say for me, the most recent one that I can remember, this past World Cup, as an avid Lionel Messi supporter, just seeing him, finally reach the pinnacle of the sport in terms of the most prestigious trophy that you can win in the game. It almost brought me to tears, honestly, just watching that. And so, every time I think back on that, it makes me, not only was it a fantastic final, but I really feel like for the soccer world, justice was served that day.
Yeah. I'm also a Messi fan. I feel like I've had a few moments throughout my getting more familiar with the game, where, I go down these, what are they? Rabbit holes of just highlight reels on YouTube and like watching like all the coolest stuff that people have done over the course of their careers. It's like a 50-minute video, all of like crossovers or whatever. Some of the videos though of Messi's career are just unreal. Like some of the stuff he's able to do and has done in the past, being the character he is. And I'm a very like narrative storyteller kind of person. The way I get into things is through stories, and he's just got a great story. I know you're a Cristiano Ronaldo guy, so we're not going to talk about this.
My Ronaldo all the way, man. I mean, Messi is great, but I feel like Ronaldo's better.
All right. So anyway, back to the greatest player of all time.
Agreed.
I had never really gotten a full grasp of like how someone's like background and upbringing and the way he sort of became the person he became over the years. Like once I started to learn that story and the sort of like severe, basically like very unlikely hurdles he had to get over that he very easily could not have in order to even get tall enough to be a full, grown adult.
That's why he's good. He's hard to defend because of his height.
That's why
any defender is gonna tell
Small
you that.
guy gang, baby.
Yeah, I know, man.
Right, come on.
He takes 2 steps every time you take one.
Why do you know they can never defend him?
Low center of gravity.
It's
true.
It's any defender is gonna tell you that. Once you have once Toby comes on the podcast, he gonna tell you that. Is as a defender, I think our greatest fear is the guy who's shorter than you, not the guy with the same height or color. Because it's so hard for some reason. I don't understand. I don't know the science behind it, but it's so hard.
For Messi, apparently the science is that he literally takes like 1.5 steps for every step you take. So his rate of touching the ground with his feet is just different than yours.
Yeah.
So like he's like ba-da-da-da, and you're like ba-ba-da-da. He's like, oh, I can just put the ball between your legs.
Yeah. So I feel like Ronaldo, if he didn't have the speed he has, he wouldn't be that great.
Sure.
Yeah. So
and he's like he can fit. He's a fucking great
he's a
shooter and he can
finish.
But he's more like built in a lab to be an athlete.
Yeah.
It's like Rocky versus Drago in Rocky 4. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Messi is natural talent, but Ronaldo is hard work talent.
Yes,
I'd agree with
that.
that.
To put it simple like that.
It's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's how I see it.
Messi, Sylvester Stallone. Ronaldo is what's that guy's name who played Ivan Drago?
The guy.
What is it?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
This is gonna kill me.
I know the face, but
I
can't get the name.
Yeah, I think he played from like Russia.
Ivan Drago, the actor who played Ivan Drago. Come on, Swanson.
If any of you listeners,
if any of you listeners want to comment this in the chat, feel free.
He's the one who
we'll find out about it.
He was in the Expendables too.
Yes, he was also in Expendables. Oh wait, no, I don't
God,
I thought you had it there.
I know exactly.
It's right on the tip of my tongue too. It's
Oh God, yeah, I can't remember that. I can't remember.
I can't not do this. I'm really sorry. This is embarrassing, but I need to know.
Yeah, I can't. I can't remember.
It's gonna make me so mad. It's gonna make me so mad.
Dolph
Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah,
my
Dolph.
guy.
There you go.
No,
That's it.
Dolph.
I just
Just
Dolph.
had to put him
Yeah,
under pressure a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
I was
Dolph.
like,
Yeah,
Can
Dolph.
you do it?
Yeah.
Can you do it? Nice. Woo!
Yeah.
Man, what a rush. It's like watching Messi win the World Cup. Remembering Dolph Lundgren's name. Yeah, absolutely. The goal that I saw Messi score, like myself, that just blew my absolute mind was a
Wait.
free kick.
You seen Messi?
Not in person.
Oh,
on TV. I mean,
yeah.
you know. Yeah, I'm normal. I've never seen Messi play soccer.
Got to talk to Enzo on that.
Yeah, I mean, Enzo's not normal though. So the free kick I saw him score was like pretty much the standard one you'd imagine it being, but like the way the entire stadium just knew it was going in.
Yeah.
The keeper knew, everybody knew, and they were just like, fuck.
The dive is just for show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
he's
like,
not
yeah,
kidding.
there's no way. There's no way. And the curve the ball has and the way it just like kisses the inside of the corner all the way to the back corner. It's just like unbelievable.
For me, it was the one where in the Champions League for Barca against Bayern Munich, where he turns Boateng around, drops him on his behind,
Yeah.
and then has the audacity to chip it right over Neuer with his
Oh,
right foot.
yeah.
That I had to watch the replay for that at least six or
So
seven
cool.
times in the moment. It was absurd.
Watching him play in MLS is insane. And that like there was I don't know if you saw this clip, but it's sort of he really just embarrassed the shit out of this person. But there was a defender who fell. I think he like got injured and maybe fell, and Messi has the ball like right next to him. And he just chips the ball over
Oh,
the injured guy and then runs around him. He like uses the body on the
Right.
ground as a part of the field. Love it. Gabriel,
Yeah.
what is your favorite moment watching a game of soccer?
Okay, so this I'd say I didn't watch the game, but to this day I actually still watch the highlights now and then. Free kick, Portugal against Spain, Ronaldo 80-some minute for a hat trick to equalize the game.
Is that the Euros, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
Is that the
Euros.
year they won it? Was that like 2016 or something? Did they
It's
win
crazy. I don't
Euros?
even.
Yeah.
I know. I don't even know if that was the year they won, but that free kick, I actually still watch it. I actually watch it, not the way he scored, but the reaction of people. That's
That's the best part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the reaction
that's-
it just gives me goosebumps. I'd be like, damn.
It's a
like,
beautiful game, right?
I saw like in New York, everybody stopped and watched on the television.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
bro, yeah. So
One of my favorite moments, in person at least, was actually at an Edgewater Castle game.
yeah,
My favorite goal that I've witnessed at an Edgewater Castle game was, I think, your first goal for us,
Berber City.
Berber City. That goal fucking slapped. I love that goal so much.
Tom got a great angle.
Oh,
on
he
it, too.
sure did, man. Do you remember this? It was like a long cross from Kyle
Yeah.
from opposite, and BK's running on the right side, and like in stride,
Oh.
he settles it and then hits it with the outside of his
then
right
the ball
foot.
came back and
No, it was basically like outside of the foot, far post.
Yeah.
Oh,
far
okay,
corner.
I remember.
So it was
yeah.
like you didn't even trap the ball. It was just like all in motion.
It just happened so
Okay.
quick.
Yeah.
And then you ran over and celebrated with
with
the
the
kids like
kids
you
and
promised
yeah,
you
he
would.
did that
It was
dance.
just-
Yeah, I remember
Man,
that. Yeah, I
thank God
remember
for
that.
those kids. They really provided some great footage
Absolutely.
after that goal. But that goal was really like, there were a lot of good goals and good. I remember that there's a good footage of one of your like a hockey assist.
Oh,
Where
yeah,
you chipped into the
Mutada.
header and then
Yeah.
that was great. It was like Reynoso to Murtada.
Mutada
in
then
front of the
yeah
box.
against
That was a nice
Steel
goal.
City.
Yeah.
That game actually was personal because they were talking so much shit on IG.
They
So I was like, you know what? Let's get it.
They
So-
put a lot of AI art into the world to talk shit at people, and I'm like, find your own graphic designer, man.
yeah,
Talk.
yeah,
Anyway.
honestly, yeah.
I'm not here to disparage our colleagues anymore. So yeah, I'm really very glad that we've had enough like fun, serious games to have those moments where like, oh man, that was awesome. So the recent house game, the Open Cup qualifier that I was on my way to my wedding, so I couldn't be there. But watching that on my phone in the passenger seat of my car on the way to Ohio, Ribeiro's goal at the first
Yeah.
goal he scored at the beginning of that game, great
Man,
goal,
Reeves.
was sweet.
Ribs is tough. Ribs,
He's a tough dude.
It's quality.
He is. He's
Quality.
quality. Hope we can convince him to come back before
Yeah.
next fall. We'll see. If you're listening to this, Ribeiro, we're coming for you,
We
brother.
want you.
Come
We
on.
want you.
Okay, gonna change gears a little bit toward the end. We're gonna really settle things down for
Yeah.
everyone.
Let's do it.
Describe like a perfect, beautiful day for you here in Chicago in your life, you know, realistically, that doesn't necessarily involve soccer. Like it can, but just describe like a really, really awesome day in your life that like brings you great joy to imagine being able to do.
Personally, for me, I only have 3 rotations in my life, right? Work, soccer, spend time with family. So if I'm not playing soccer or anything that's associated with soccer, I'm with my wife and daughter. So I think that's what I enjoy the most right now. So anything that's not associated with me being outside playing soccer or anything that has to do with me, I'm somewhere with my wife and daughter, just enjoying time. Family is everything. So I think that's pretty much that's all I do now since I become a family man. But I say back in the days, used to be hanging out with friends a lot. Robel was also on Edgewater, Fahad, so Ginola, so all those Edgewater guys, we used to be on Edgewater. So if we didn't have a game or practice, we were just somewhere hanging out. So, but after I became a family man, everything is just me and my family. So I still hang out with friends now and then, but family, yeah.
But that perfect day is basically like just relaxing. with
Yeah,
your
just
family.
relaxing with family. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter if I'm taking my daughter to the park or shopping or just take a walk or just being with family. Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
No, I hear that. I grew up very family oriented too, and I'd say that's one of the tougher parts for me living in
Yeah.
Chicago is being removed from that a little bit. But it's nice because being in a city like this, there's always something to do. So if we're talking about relaxing day, I'm probably sleeping in a little bit. Getting up in time for brunch. I'm a big brunch guy. Lots of good spots around the city and
Oh, yeah.
up back in Evanston as well.
Chicago, you can't miss.
And then I really love, like the architecture here in Chicago. One of my favorite things that I've ever done is taking the boat tour on the
of
river.
course.
I like spending time by like the lakefront. Obviously all the, main attractions right around there. Like you got the Bean, Millennium Park, Navy Pier. I'm a big fan of comedy as well. So, stand-up shows. I love hitting up the
You
Second
are?
City. Yeah, of course.
Hey, that's crazy. I didn't know that about him.
Yeah, see, this way
You
you
like
come
I'll
on the
comedy?
podcast,
I'll bring you
man.
sometime.
That's
Hear a lot about the
crazy.
shows going on here at the Jackalope as well,
yeah.
so I'm excited to check some of those out. But that's one of the things I love about this city is it's big enough that there's always something to do, but not too big that you feel like it takes forever to get places or you're overcrowded. So I think you kind of have the best of both worlds here.
Yeah, absolutely. Great answers. So we're just about out of time for our last prompt.
Yeah.
I'd like you both to just take a second and address our lovely audience members and give them 1 or 2 reasons why it would improve their lives to become fans or supporters of Edgewater Castle in some way.
Oh, one thing I say, our fans, you won't be disappointed. Is show out to the games. You're gonna be happy in what you see because we have quality players. Quality players. Once I say quality, I mean quality players. So you're gonna be entertained. You're gonna be entertained. You're gonna be happy to watch the game. You're gonna enjoy a day off in the city or somewhere in your neighborhood close to your house. So yeah, show out to the games, man. Show out to the games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing, for me about being a Rook is the sense of community as well. It's right there in the Instagram bio, Chicago's Community Football Club, and I feel like from the top down, they really embody that. So as players, we have a great relationship with our supporters, the staff around us, and I really felt that, since day one, stepping into this organization. So I think that, like Masalu said, we'll give you something good to cheer about on the field as well. But I think that sense of community and belonging where we can, share our passion for the game on and off the field is what's special about this organization. So I can't wait for the next couple of years ahead.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It's going to be a great year.
It is.
20,
this is going to be a good
25.
one. 25. On the rise in 25. That doesn't quite rhyme, but I tried. Gentlemen, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Known you for a long time, both of you, and you're just lovely people, and I'm very grateful that you took the time to be with me tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Stone by Stone. This has been a really fun episode. Now we're going to allow these guys to pick their favorite poster from last season.
That's gonna be hard to choose.
It is gonna be hard to
man.
choose.
I might have to take one of each. We'll see.
I know, but
I think he already got one on mine.
oh yeah?
Yeah, he already got one on mine.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Go Rooks.
Adios.
Go Rooks.
Go Rooks.
Ahoy there! Thank you for listening to Stone by Stone, an Edgewater Castle podcast. Be sure to listen to our next episode, or better yet, subscribe to our channels on YouTube, where you can find video versions of our episodes, Spotify, Apple Music, or anywhere else you get your podcast fix. We'll have a lot of exciting new content coming up throughout the year, and we want you to stay along for the ride. In fact, you should probably just follow us on all social media platforms also. Just to be safe. And with that, I leave you be. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for supporting the club, listening to the podcast, and as per usual, go Rooks.